So we're hitting the road with the Max's new series, The Girls on the Bus. I'm talking with the team behind the show, Amy Chosick, Rena Mimoun, and Julie Plek. So what is The Girls on the Bus about?
All right. The
Take
Girls
it
on the
away,
Bus.
Amy.
The Girls on the Bus is about four female journalists covering a fictional Democratic primary, and it's about how they find friendship and scandal on the bus. And it's really just about this found family that they become covering a presidential campaign.
Yeah, and Amy, I'll direct this next question at you because this is loosely based and inspired by your time as a political journalist covering Hillary Clinton's campaign. What did you draw from that experience to bring this show to life?
Yeah, it was really wonderful playing in a fictional world because I could draw kind of all of my experiences covering Hillary, covering Obama, covering all the women who ran for president in 2020 and kind of molding it into this fictional world. So I definitely brought, a ton of details, everything from how the bus looked like. It's very hard to shoot on a bus, but Rena's laughing because I was like, the bus has to look like the bus looks, it would have been much easier if we had sofas in there, So everything from that to how we had a Emmy-winning production designer. Kurt Beach did the production design in Only Murders, and he's a lovely artist. And I was like, I'm sorry, but the press file has to be really messy, because journalists have power cords and antibacterial and so it's like those that texture and authenticity I definitely brought to it. And then in terms of the book, there was nothing I was too precious about, like this anecdote has to be like this, but it was more just kind of informing the world, the types of women I became friends with on the bus, the Grace character. I was talking about my friendship with Andrea Mitchell, women I never would have met in my normal life, but you're forced together in this like closed confines of a bus. You're staying in the same hotels every night and you become friends, close friends.
Yeah, and Rena, I'll direct this one to you. So this is obviously 2024 is a presidential election year. It's a big one coming up. How important was it to bring this show to the screen in this time of climate?
I think Amy said it before. It feels like we are constantly having an election. It feels
Yeah.
like the politics of our world right now are all consuming, all encompassing all the time. So I think part of what's lovely about we are meant to be an escape. And I think as people are tracking the election that's going to be happening right now, I think the joy of this show is this is the fun version. This is the version that sort of lets you, don't worry, this isn't happening and it's really delightful. But if you want to get your little politics fix, by all means, shuffle of facts. We'll be there with some, really great looking people.
You're absolutely right. The show, yes, it has a political background, but it is for everyone, any left, right, anywhere people identify. Julie, what was it like being part of this show where anyone can watch it and enjoy it?
Well, that was the goal. It gets harder and harder in this society to maintain any kind of meet across the middle or, bipartisan perspective. We've been talking a lot today about about objectivity and the idea that even objectivity in its own way is a fallacy because you bring in your own biases and life experience. So a bunch of liberal ladies sitting around trying to figure out, okay, how can we make sure that we are being open with all our heart to the kind of perspectives that will make the show enjoyable to not just people who look like us and think like us, and we had a great time pulling that together. We had a great time learning about Lola and her, like what an influencer journalist is going to do and how they feel about news and breaking news. We had a great time deep diving into wonderful Black female conservatives and trying to determine what a Reagan era Republican, to boot, a Black woman would look like in our fictional universe, and it was really important to us to sort of entertain first, edutain later, and I think that we hit a really nice balance there.
And the balance comes exactly from these four central characters played by the incredible Melissa Benoist, Christina Elmore, Natasha Benham, and Carla Gugino. What was it like bringing these four girls together? It's so exciting to see them on screen when they're all four together.
They are magic.
Air magic. That we feel like that's the heart of the bus. I mean, the heart of our show and the bus. But when we see them dancing on the top of the bus in episode 6, when we see them, we call it the abortion road trip episode, but they all get in bed and they're all 4 in the bed together. I mean, we hope it's sort of wish fulfillment in terms of like, I would love to have this type of female friendship. I think you see Carla's character Grace grow into like she mothers Lola in a way she doesn't even know how to mother her own daughter. And so thank you. I think the heart of the show is the 4 girls together, and that is the arc, right? They start out vicious competitors and they end working together. They end a family. And that's exactly what we were hoping
And
to get.
we were blessed with that cast. I mean, I think part of what they were from the minute they met, they were completely just so respectful of each other, so kind to each other, so supportive of each other. And that energy was, I think, and it came on right from the pilot. Sometimes those things take a minute and you sort of have to go through that crunchy period until they get to know each other. And then, oh no, there's a fight. This was just one of the more magical experiences I've ever had professionally. And when it comes to just the cast was amazing. And then we were blessed with these 2 other pretty awesome dudes rounding it out with Mr. Scott Foley and Brandon Scott. And you're just like, they're amazing. They're all amazing.
And I was going to mention Scott Foley. We all know him from Scandal. It's another political show that he's in. And then another candidate is Mark Consuelos, who we see every morning on his morning talk show. What was it like bringing both of them in for these kind of contrasting roles?
They were really good sports about it. Mark specifically was just thrilled to be asked, just absolutely touched that we would call him up and say, you know, hey, do you want to come play with us? I had just recently, in recent years, worked with him. I directed an episode of Riverdale. And he was so nice. And my friend works for him and just thinks he's the greatest man in the world. And so it was a thrill to be sort of saying, hey, what about Mark Consuelos for this? And I have loved Scott Foley secretly since he was Noel, right? I mean, I met Scott Foley when he was Cliff on Dawson's Creek. We go that far back, but seeing him as a grown-up, letting him have like McDreamy moments, you know, it's just hilarious and awesome.
That McDreamy moment everyone's going to be talking about. I can't wait for people to see this show. Thank you all so much. The Girls on the Bus premieres on Max Thursday, March 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you.